Welcome to Littleton Live. I'm your host, Nicole Biagioni. The objective of this program is to have discussions about topics that affect us here in Littleton. We welcome your calls each week and look forward to having a meaningful dialogue with you about specific topics that we will discuss. Tonight, our topic is communication. Years ago, if you wanted to know what was happening in town, your options were either word of mouth, mail, or the local news. Today, you have your own TV station, LCTV. You also have the internet, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. With all those advances in technology, we've seemed to lost our ability to communicate. Why is that? We want to hear your opinions on this topic. If you would like to be a part of the discussion, give us a call at 978-540-2487. If you call and are put on the air, please turn down your TV set because there is a slight delay in what you're seeing in the direct phone line to the studio. Also, if you get a busy signal or a recorded message, please hang up and try again later. So, the phone lines are open. While we wait for our first call, let me welcome to the studio Mike Brew. Mike is one of the administrators for a popular Facebook page called Residents for a Better Littleton. Welcome, Mike.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on the show. So, I guess the objective overall goal of this conversation is to discuss kind of what's been going wrong with communication in town. Whether it's been the marijuana dispensaries or special town meeting, there's just, I feel, something going wrong. So in the perspective of the citizen, I feel that I feel like specifically with the marijuana dispensaries, they came out of nowhere and there was no proper information that was provided in a sense, and it wasn't really common knowledge. So what do you think could have been done better?
Well, I think that's kind of a unique situation in my opinion. I think there's a couple things that went wrong with that. I don't necessarily agree that it came out of nowhere. I think once the state passed, once we as a state passed the referendum, we then Littleton actually passed it by a wider margin than the state. But then the selectmen brought to town meeting a moratorium, and my understanding of the moratorium was so that we then had time to craft the bylaw to kind of figure out where we wanted the dispensaries to be put in town. And so I think that took almost a year to do. I think we came to the next town meeting, but either way, it took many months.
Yeah.
And they had many meetings about it. So, it was out there. I think one of the things that I think is why people are kind of, why it's a hot button issue now, obviously the applications are coming up or they did come up for approval. But, back when we were discussing this as a town, it was never presented to the residents that we could ban them outright. I personally, I pay attention to what's going on in town politics-wise, and I didn't know we could ban them. I didn't know there was a mechanism for us to do that, being a yes community. So I didn't think it was a possibility. I didn't raise the issue with my friends or the people I talked to about town politics. But then come to find out, after we then passed the bylaw to zone them. And then come to find out, we see communities that have passed it are now banning them. So,
yeah.
I started asking the question, how could they do that and we couldn't? And why weren't we given that opportunity?
Yeah.
And I've talked to the selectmen about this. I know, I'd say 4 out of 5 of them on a personal level. And I've asked the question, and to their point to me has been, where was everybody when we were crafting these bylaws? Where was the concern then? We didn't hear from anybody. We passed it. I think we almost passed it by a 2/3, 1/3 margin. So, from their perspective, the town's for it. They're not hearing from anybody. Nobody's writing letters. The bylaw goes through. Still hadn't heard from anybody. So they have really no inclination that there's a groundswell of opposition to having these in our community. So from that perspective, I don't hold them accountable. I wish that someone knew that we could, we had the opportunity to ban them. I think we have like an extra hurdle to climb over because we did vote yes.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that was necessarily disconnect. I'm not. That's I think a unique situation. You know, it does show me. I think it's a perfect example of why we need to stay involved, though. You know, we need to. The people in town have to want to get the information.
Yeah.
I think there's many places to go to get it. But it does take effort on the part of the citizens.
Yeah, unfortunately, like in today's society, information is now at your fingertips. And here, I mean, that's on the national level, but here in Littleton, you kind of have to go hunt for things where you're not going to see it in the newspaper. You'll see it on littletonma.org, or you'll hopefully see it, someone will share it, and you'll see that information, but it's not going to be brought to you on a silver platter, unfortunately.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, you just raised a good point about not really, we don't really have a newspaper anymore. We don't have a reporter.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I remember, you know, when I first started, so I started paying attention to town politics around the time we started lobbying for alumni. I was a big advocate in that, and you know, admittedly before that I wasn't really involved, didn't really pay attention, and you know, that going through that whole process kind of piqued my interest in kind of the personalities involved and how things are you know, discussed and worked through as a town. So I became really interested around that time. But at that time, we had a reporter. He went to every single Board of Selectmen meeting. I think he was at planning board meetings. You could read about the meetings in the paper, you know, online, or you know, get it weekly. But you know, we don't have that anymore. We don't have a reporter that goes to our selectmen meetings. So it just makes it even harder. So that's, you know, something that I hope changes relatively soon. I mean, every town should have a reporter.
Exactly. And before I add my comment to that, if you'd like to be part of this discussion, please give us a call at 978-540-2487. This is a discussion based. This is why we're here. We want to hear from you. So I agree with you that we need some sort of a reporter, because you see big towns. I mean, unfortunately, Littleton's on the smaller side, and we don't have there's not enough newsworthy things to make it to the paper, and now the Independent is with the Eagle. And when you're scrolling to the Facebook and you see Wicked Local posting, it's more so something Westford related, or I've seen Pet of the Week. I mean, I laughed at that, but it's just not news.
Yeah, most of the posts I've seen from them they're almost like a marijuana aggregate site at this point. They, you know, almost like half their articles are about recreational marijuana and new shops coming up. And
exactly.
So I guess that's just the state of the Littleton Independent at this point.
Yeah. So your Facebook page, can you give us a little information on that with just an overview? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. It's not my Facebook page. There's actually 5 admins on the site. There's myself, Katie Caruth. We just brought on Sam Supernaut, and then John and Jackie Sagal. They started the site way back. I think it was when there was talk of a casino coming to town. I believe they started the page, but again, I wasn't paying attention back then. I didn't even know the page existed. So there's I'd say 3 active admins. John will post every now and again, but he's kind of taken a step back. So I think we have a good mix. I know Katie and I very rarely agree on town politics, which I think makes the site that much better. We have differences of opinion. She, the things that interest her, she posts. The things that interest me, I post. And Sam, I asked Sam to come on because she started her own page, Littleton Info Share, and she's been doing a great job with that. You know, a lot of the stories that I was reading off hers, I was thinking to myself, this is exactly what the residents page should be posting. And you know, between Katie and I, we just we don't have the time to post everything that's we'd like to get to the citizens. So that's why we asked her to come, and she's been a great addition. But what we just try to get as much information on the page as possible. We have over 1,200 followers or likes. So I think it's there's other pages like ours. There's the Littleton family page. There's like I said, Sam's page.
Littleton Moms.
The Littleton Moms page. There's a if you're from how do you know you're from Littleton or something like that.
Yeah.
That they're kind of a different, a lot of historical posts there. There's also the Littleton Trails page, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
If you're into nature and hiking, that's a great great page. But so we try to take kind of everything from those pages, and then town politics as well, and share. I think we're unique in that area where we are, I think, more geared to the political side of things.
Yeah.
And what's happening in town as far as how we're running the town than those other pages. So I think that makes us unique. But we certainly pull from other pages as well.
Yeah, so what do you kind of mentioned politics, but like what do you specifically post? Like I've seen whether it's town documents or just what's the content on the page?
Yeah, so if there's hot button issues like the marijuana meeting that happened, I guess they had one last Tuesday, and then they reconvene on Friday to make their decisions. So we posted about that. I was listening to that meeting on my phone while I was driving in. As soon as I got to work, I posted the results because I knew people would be interested in knowing what the results of that were. But yeah, things like that. If there's development projects, if they're planning board meetings, we'll post about those. Really want to get the information out there before the meetings and not just results of the meeting. So we'll post a lot of agendas. We'll post documents that are pertinent to the meetings so that people are aware and they can kind of educate themselves before the meeting and going in with some sort of knowledge.
Which I can appreciate because I made a comment before the show actually. I was thinking about, I'm like, this page, I feel they're kind of a connection between Littleton government and the residents where they're this bridge and they'll post stuff, both what's happening in town and what's just information in general, which, I mean, I've looked at both the town government's Twitter and their Facebook, and they don't have a big following, but you guys have a following, which is good because then you can broadcast to a bigger audience per se.
Yeah, yep. No, I agree. The town social media is, it's the website's great. We won awards for the website, and we just redesigned it a couple of years ago, and it's a great website. I think if you're looking for meetings, it's right on the front page. So I think the town's really doing, as far as a website and getting information out there, they're doing a good job. I think perhaps there's better ways to feed the residents instead of having them try to look for it. But I think using us, not that the town's going to come to us and ask that we post things, but we're more than happy to do it, and we try to work. That's what I take a look at the town website like once a week, if not more, just to pull agendas and kind of see what's going on that week and kind of forecast what's going to be a hot topic for that coming week, and then I try to post accordingly. Yeah,
I guess. Do you ever encounter, fake news or something? Because I mean, I don't know. I feel it's just a general thing that's now been happening. Littleton's on a small scale, so I don't think there'd be fake news. But have you encountered that? Is there anybody who fact checks, or do you thoroughly go through it before anything?
So yeah, I don't think we really encounter fake news per se. Every now and again, I'll see things that about meetings and decisions made that aren't factually correct, and I'll make an effort to kind of correct the record. But if I do that, I make sure that I have the documents to back it up, because then it's just me. It's he said, she said. Yeah. But there's times when that stuff happens. But I think in general, we don't really encounter fake news on the town,
which is a good thing.
The town scale, yeah.
Yeah. So if you'd like to call in, voice your opinion, please do. The number is 978-540-2487. So I guess switching back to disconnect between the town and the town and the community, do you see where there could be possibilities of disconnect, where citizens are thinking one way and the government's going the other way, and there's just no meet in the middle? Where,
as far as policy or getting information?
Getting information for communication.
I I don't know if I'd classify it as a disconnect. I think that the real issue is, residents wanting the information as decisions are being made. A lot of times what we see is, boards are talking about things, agendas are posted, they talk about it, decisions are made, maybe they have another meeting or another 2 meetings about it if the topic's big enough. Decisions are made, and then once the decision is made, then if people are going to be upset, that's, I feel like, the time that they're upset for the most part. And, I don't know if there's any way around that. I think, people are busy. I have 3 kids. I'm at the hockey rink 4 nights a week, lacrosse field. So, it's tough. And, if you aren't, if you don't pay attention, then, things get missed. And then, that's the dynamic that happens is, things get decided on, and then it's, well, I didn't know anything about this, and now I have to go to the board and voice my displeasure. And, it's tough. It's tough for the boards to govern that way.
Yeah, when there's no people communicating what they want, but the government, town government saying, here's what's happening, but nobody's showing up to voice their opinion.
Yeah, and I think there's probably some ways to fix it. I don't have any of those solutions with me tonight.
It's all good.
But I think maybe there's some, I think in the end, maybe the town can come up with some better solutions to get the information to the residents, but without residents, without them wanting to gain that knowledge and really stay on top of things. It's kind of a, it's going to fall on deaf ears, I'm afraid.
Oh.
But I know Cindy Napoli is, that's one of her things that she's taken up the gauntlet with. So, I'm interested in talking to her and see, what kind of ideas she has.
Yeah, I'd look forward to see that too. So, switching gears with communication, do you see any parallels between the miscommunication between the marijuana dispensaries and the special town meeting, where you had one, they're 2 different things, but do you see any parallels between the 2 in miscommunication?
I don't really, to be honest with you. I think, full disclosure, I'm the chairman of the Park and Rec Commission, which had to deal with the special town meeting, very closely. But, I think that was a completely different animal than what we saw with the marijuana dispensary. I think I'll leave it at that.
Okay. So what I was, in more of a sense, do you think people, when they voted for the dispensaries, they didn't really know what they were voting on? And then same thing with the special town meeting, them signing petitions and they didn't know what they're signing, that sort of miscommunication.
Yeah, so I think the marijuana dispensary, I think I personally was in favor of the bylaw. I think it probably would still be today if we did it over again. Mm-hmm. I might lobby for 1 license, but that's just my own personal view. But I think at the town meeting we were voting on what we thought was our option. I shouldn't say we. I'll speak for myself. I thought that the only thing we could control is where we put the dispensaries.
Yeah.
Not that we could have the opportunity to ban them. So I don't know if it's going to come back to town meeting. I know there's a petition out there that many people have signed. I'm not one of them. But I know there is a kind of a groundswell to at least open up the discussion again and see what the town wants to do. But perhaps there's some middle road there. But I'm in favor of opening the conversation up again now that we know of all the options. Now that we know there is a mechanism to ban them outright. I think we should have that discussion.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think I'm in favor of banning them altogether. I think there's a middle road where, a lot of the concerns that many of the opponents of the dispensaries have, and,
Mm-hmm.
I think we can kind of work on some of those and still have the town reap some of those benefits.
Yeah.
That's, substantial, I think, substantial potential, I should say, tax revenue for the town.
Yeah, and that's kind of a great segue to why people don't want it. A bunch of the phrase "for the kids" has come up a lot in Board of Selectmen meetings, or it's just been implied. And so do you think this phrase is genuine, or do you think it's almost selfish in a way where it's for the kids. So, I mean, that's like, you could see that in two different ways. So,
no, I mean, I wouldn't I wouldn't try to figure out what people's motives are when they, say something like that. I know there's the dispensary they wanted to put at the Common directly abuts a neighborhood, and, I think, to some degree they, mentioned their kids a lot and didn't want the dispensary in their backyard where, I think there's, a dozen kids on that road or something around there.
Yeah.
I think they're genuine in their concern that, it's going to be in their backyard. So I think those concerns are genuine. I don't see them as selfish. I think maybe if you were talking about the other site, which is, in an industrial, pretty much in an industrial park, and
it's not by
not
kids
abutting a neighborhood.
and,
I think, unfortunately, marijuana it's out there, it's here. I think if kids want it, talking high school age kids, if they want it, I don't think it's very difficult for them to get these days. So I don't, I don't know if keeping a dispensary out of our town is really going to have any effect in that regard. But I do take the residents at their word, especially if they're, in that neighborhood abutting a dispensary.
Yeah. So, Littleton, I want to hear from you about this subject. Please give us a call at 978-540-2487. Please, please, please call in. It's a citizen-based show. It's all about you guys and your opinions, not just us talking. So, I guess, I don't know how to want to word this, but so how can citizens better inform themselves? Because, I mean, we have social media at our fingertips, but how do you think because it's a two-way street in a sense. The Littleton government can only do so much. And then the citizens, they can only, what can we do to, do our part?
Yeah, I think just talking to each other. If you have a friend that is more engaged than you, give that person a call and ask, what's going on. I know my friends, sometimes roll their eyes at me when I start talking about it, but it's to the point now where a lot of times they will engage and ask me, what's going on with this.
Sorry to interrupt you. Hi, who's calling? Hello? Is anybody there?
Well, best call of the day, that's for sure.
If you're on air, can I ask who's calling?
Hi, this is Gianna.
Hi, Gianna. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. So, do you have Oh, go ahead. My apologies.
So my question is about the toxicity that the internet or the communication between students in Littleton or just people in Littleton on social media has caused, because both you and I know that we've seen these conversations or exchanges that people wouldn't say to someone or say to their face, and I was just curious on how you guys think that affects the overall well-being of the town.
That's kind of a great question that we don't really talk about. It's social media toxicity. You'll see trolls and bullies on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter who just kind of blindly send something out, and they're protected by a username, and so they don't really think about it. Whereas if I said something mean to you right now, that's in person, and it's completely different from posting something on the computer.
Yeah, I think.
And as you see it in your town, it's the people, so it's a little bit more personal than if it was someone on the internet.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing with with our Facebook page is, we're all neighbors, and we all, I don't know everybody that I interact with on there, but I know them by name, and then when you see them, if their Facebook profile is their picture, but in the end, we're all neighbors. It's important, I think, especially on a page like our page, that it's okay to have a difference of opinion, but you should be able to defend that opinion. You know, and you shouldn't get offended if someone disagrees with you or simply raises a counterpoint. You know, sometimes we do see that. You know, I interjected over the weekend and tried to add some context to a conversation, and the recipients of my comment didn't like it very much, and I thought it was a kind of an innocuous comment I was making, but you know, it was more or less rejected by the person it was intended for, and so I just, you know, I kind of apologized and moved on. And you know, I just think if more people can do that, then you know, we would be able to have more robust conversations on a page like ours. I think to some degree, or you know, to a good degree, there's people in town who want to engage but don't want to deal with that aspect of it.
Yeah, I feel you're talking with someone, and if it's a difference in opinion, then you either have to fight because that's your own opinion and you feel that's an attack on you, so you have to defend yourself. And it's just like I feel just today, there's no variety. You're either in one group or you're in the other, and we're always constantly like going at and fighting each other.
Yeah, and that's, you know. Oh, go ahead.
And if you end up disagreeing with the majority, then you're seen as a monster.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Yeah, I think it's really important to have differences of opinion. Like our page is, you know, I think we have that. Like I was mentioning before, how you know, myself and Katie Caruth don't agree on a lot of things in politics, and we've had debates on our page. But I think it's you know, we do it in a respectful way for the most part. I think that's healthy for the town to see different perspectives. I do wish that you know, more people would participate in the conversations. I think that as long as, you know, you're diplomatic about it, you know, at the end of the day, we're all neighbors. We're all looking to make Littleton the best town it can be, you know. And you know, the way I see doing that, you know, you may not agree with it, and you know, but I know, you know, just met you tonight, but you know, you're a good person. I know that. So, you know, like at the end of the day, you don't agree, and then you can go your separate ways, and that's how it should be. You shouldn't take it personal.
Yeah. Hi, Lily. How are you?
Hi.
Hi. So, do you have an opinion or a question? Oh no.
Delay.
Hi, Dad. Love you.
Oh, those.
Hi, Dad. Hi, Dad.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Dad. I love you. I love you.
Thanks for calling in.
Aw, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Good night.
Good night. Go to bed.
I'm not red, am I?
You're all good. You're all good.
Oh, they're great.
So, if anybody would else like to call in, give us a call at 978-540-2487. So, I guess, what do you think the role of social media has changed for communication?
Like since we first started using it to where we are now, or just has it changed the way we communicate?
I think more so it changed the way we communicate.
Yeah, I mean, certainly there's less face-to-face stuff, and you are certainly able to see more opinions. People are able to, you know, give their opinion to many more people. You know, you don't have to go to town hall to check the agenda board to see what's going on that week. So yeah, I think it's, you know, overall, I think it's a very positive thing that, you know, you have information at your fingertips. You know, I think there's obviously some cons with, you know, when you have people who don't want to be diplomatic in the conversation and want to, you know, push their view and, you know, beat you over the head with it. I think, you know, there's some aspects of that aren't great, but overall, I think it's, you know, it's very beneficial.
Kind of, do you think a town meeting, do you think that's a dated way for democracy and communication in town, or do you think we should keep it?
I think we should keep it. I mean, I suppose it is dated. It's been going on for quite some time now. But, you know, again, it's you have to want to participate in the way your town is governed. And, that's the perfect place to do it. I know it's, a lot of town meetings are jammed with articles, and we're there till, 11 o'clock at night or even later at times. I can see that coming in the fall. I think the library will probably be up in the fall town meeting. I think we'll have some other big ticket items and heavy interest. If the marijuana bylaw comes back, that'll raise a lot of interest and create a lot of debate. So I think it's good. I think you have to want to participate. The one thing that I think people who come to town meeting and want to speak, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because they should be able to speak, especially when an article comes up. I'll use this last town meeting we had. The debate was cut short. At the time I was happy with it because it was hot. It was stuffy in there. I wanted to get out of there, but at the same time, there were people who wanted to be heard, and so it's kind of if everybody speaks, and and we do it, and we have 5 highly debated articles throughout the night, we're never going to get out of there. So I get it, but at the same time, people who make the effort to come out to town meeting, that want to be heard, we should try to figure out a way to do that. And I know they put a time limit on comments and stuff, and I think it's 5 minutes now. Maybe we shorten that even more. I think whatever you have to say can be done in a couple minutes. I think once you get over more than 2 minutes, it's turning into a lecture. Sometimes it's a show. So maybe we could do that. But I think town meeting is good. There's certainly some things we could fix. But.
Yeah. Hi, Jackie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Are you here to voice an opinion, or hold on, I'll let you go.
Nope, I was at Kimball's, and I just came back, and I wanted to tune into your show.
Oh, thank you.
You look great,
Oh,
and I like the topic, and so I wanted to, and you guys may have covered this already, but I think that in town, with the adults in town, it's been a very effective way of communicating different issues and discussing different initiatives. But I also think it's become a place where people are very brave online, and they maybe step outside their lane at times with manners and otherwise. And that I think that it can be a very positive, and in the same breath, very negative experience. And I've personally experienced that. I know a lot of other folks have as well. But in the end, I think it's become the go-to. I think the folks like the people at the Independent are struggling as a result of social media, where we used to all pick up the Independent and have it delivered to our house. I haven't seen a hard copy of that in forever. And then my other comment was that I've just gone through the college visit circuit with my daughter.
Yeah.
And each and every single one of the colleges that I went to, with no exceptions, and I went to a million, have all said that employers are looking for college graduates to have the soft skills that the generation before them had before the advent of social media. And that social media and communicating the way we all communicate now has really diminished students or graduates' ability to interact one-on-one personally. And so I think that that's now become a business opportunity for folks, believe it or not, teaching kids to communicate face-to-face, to shake a hand, to make eye contact. So it's again, everybody's never been more connected, and yet in the same breath, there's a big disconnect, human to human, and that's what the colleges are now seeing, and it's become I couldn't believe they're like, yeah, we're going to teach your kids how to shake a hand and make eye contact. I'm like, oh my God, what's the world come to? So anyway, I would just want to buzz in and say hi and just put my 2 cents in, and that's it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I have to say I really agree with her on that, where as a college student, and going through this entire process, I've met kids on campus who either can't look me in the eye when they're talking to me, and I'm very fortunate to go through theater and have parents who raised me to be a good communicator and be comfortable talking to adults and other people. And I've knock on wood, I've had that luck. But we're all glued to our phones, and I don't know, we get all like squeamish when, I have to talk to someone.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think, one of the things that I try to do is, if I really haven't met the person, if I know who they are and I interact with them on online, if I see them, I'll try to, actually introduce myself. I know we've talked online. I'm Mike Prue. Just wanted to shake your hand and make that face-to-face interaction rather than just keeping it online.
Hi, Sam. How are you?
I'm good. Hi, Nicole. Hi, Mike.
Hi.
Hi. Are you here to voice an opinion, ask a question? The floor is yours.
Yeah, I wanted to thank Mike for the plug, and I think my husband and I were sitting here watching the show, and we were thinking about how social media in town specifically helps to create more transparency when it comes to any issue, when it comes to the kids at school, or when it comes to politics, or the water department, the highway department is paving the streets. I think that there's more people talking about an issue. You're hearing more insights. I think it's very positive.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. The town paving those roads on Goldsmith and those side roads. I knew someone who lived over there, and she was like, I didn't know they were paving over there. I mean, that
exactly. We had no idea.
Exactly.
And I never would have gone to the highway department's website to figure that out, right? And once somebody gets that information, they tend to share it, whether it's on InfoShare or Residents or the moms' pages. They get this good info, they pass it along. I think it's got a great quality to it.
I wonder, a question for you is there a way for these pages, whether it be the Residents for Better Littleton or the Moms page, do they talk to each other, or are they just their own separate platforms?
I think some of us talk to each other, and then some are just separate platforms.
Yeah.
Just different places to go. I think you'd be sort of in a echo chamber if we all were saying the same thing to each other and then posting the same things on our sites.
That was my hope, that you weren't individually in an echo chamber, so that's good.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Well, thank you so much for calling in, unless you have another question, or...
No. Thanks, guys. Have
Thanks,
a great
Sam.
night.
Thank you. Yeah. You too.
Yeah, I think that's, I think it's important to have, like I've kind of said a couple times with our page, to have differing opinions from the admins themselves and from the people who post. I know there's other pages in town that, more of the posts are from, people who use that page. That's one of the things about our page that I wish more people would post. We have a visitors section post where, or visitors post section where anyone can post. So if you're out there and you have something you want to post, you can post it on our page, our Facebook page. You can shoot us a message if you want us to post something. The things that the admins post do get more exposure, but I know Mark Corey posted something about this meeting today in our visitors section. They are a little bit more difficult to find if you go to our page. It's not going to be on our front page. You actually have to go to posts and visitors post, but if you do post, it will come into someone's feed who likes our page.
Yeah.
So you'll get, potentially up to 1,200 users looking at whatever your post is. But again, as long as it's, you can post whatever you want, as long as it's not offensive or anything. And we've never had that issue, so I don't expect that to start happening. But if you want us to post something, we're more than happy to do it. Shoot us a message, and if more people use that mechanism of our page, I think it would create even more interaction. Yeah.
So I guess, do you just like the page and follow it, or how does that work?
Yep. So you like it, and then you have options of how you want our posts to show up in your feed. I know you can select any new post to show up first in your feed, or you can like it, and I think the post will just show up in accordance to your timeline.
Yeah, then also you have to consider the algorithm too, because Facebook has this whole algorithm of what you like and comment, more of that will appear, and what you don't like and comment, it will kind of disappear.
Yeah.
So there's also, that's Facebook. You can't really do much about that, but that's how a lot of your feed gets in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Facebook is also an interesting platform per se, where people kind of rant on Facebook, or they speak their mind, which is a good thing, and they have that voice to do that. But I feel personally that people don't act on that. After they say what they've said on Facebook, they don't go and do their civic duty or go and act on that. So do you think your page invokes like that civic activity almost?
I think it helps. I don't think necessarily because someone's engaged on a topic on our page that it's going to, motivate them to go to a meeting. The meetings are tough to go to, and I think if we're talking about how to get more residents to meetings and to participate in our town government, I think, for example, you could go to a Board of Selectmen meeting and want to give some public input, and public input's on the agenda for 7:30. You could be there till 9:30 at night, waiting for that 7:30 agenda item, and it's not, to no fault of, the selectmen. They, if that's the case, they're probably talking about something really important. But it's tough, especially when you have a family, you have kids that you need to get to bed. It's hard. It's hard to get to those meetings at night. I was on the committee, the design committee for Alumni Field, and we met throughout the summer every Wednesday night, and it was tough. It was a sacrifice for my wife, for my family, and it was important to us as a family, for my kids, and for a lot of our friends and their kids. But it's hard to get to those meetings. So, I don't know if being involved on our page necessarily gets people to those meetings, but I think if something is important enough to you and you see it on our page before the meeting happens, I think maybe there's maybe we get 2, 3, or 4 more people to the meeting, maybe more. And if that's the case, then it's a positive thing.
Yeah. We have a few more minutes left in the show. If you'd like to voice your opinion, please give us a call at 978-540-2487. I want to hear from you. So I guess, how do you get involved? Like, you don't just wake up one morning and be like, I want to be an activist. Like, how did whether you got involved in town politics or just like, how would someone get involved?
So like I said, I got involved during the Alumni Field discussion. It was important to me, important to my family, important to my friends. But I started paying attention to all the different meetings, the Board of Selectmen meetings, the Planning Board meetings, and I don't know. I enjoy politics on town level, federal level. I enjoy the kind of dissection of it and trying to figure out how people can think differently. I have a friend who, we are polar opposites politically, but I love talking to her because I like trying to figure out how you can think the exact opposite of me on a particular issue. And, I found some of that in town, especially, during the alumni debate. That wasn't necessarily, federal politic type thing, but, I just enjoyed, the interactions between the different boards and things like that. So, it's not for everybody, but I have a job where I work in biotech and I test equipment, and then I could be sitting at my desk for 2 weeks compiling the data for that. And so during that time, I listen to meetings. I don't watch them, but I'll listen to them, and just trying to pass the time. Some people listen to Pandora podcasts. I listen to town meetings. Yeah, it's that's what I do. But I enjoy being informed and staying up to date, and like I said, a lot of times, my friends will shoot me a message or give me a call, and if they hear of something, they'll, what's going on with this? How did we get here? And I enjoy kind of being that person, and everything I learned that I think is important enough, I put on the residents page and try to get other people to at least get eyes on it, and so I'm just trying to help get that information out there to as many people as we can. Yeah, to educate the citizens. And I mean, that's the main goal of the show, but also just like in general, I feel if you don't know what's happening, I know some people who are like, they don't really care about the news. I'm like, how can you not? I mean, that's just me being a journalist. Oh, news is everything to me. But I mean, LCTV, they put meetings on their website, and then everything, like everybody has access to everything, which is really good. So
I'm at a loss for words right now. So with all that access involved, like I mean, we used to be newspaper people where that's the news. So I guess with TV and with everything else, like how has that changed the way we see things? Or how, like on your Facebook page, like how has that changed the game?
Well, I just think there's more. You can get information whenever you want now. You don't have to wait until the 6 o'clock news. Like,
Yeah.
when I was a kid, local news, then the, nightly news for, national news. It was, a half an hour for local news, a half an hour for nightly news. And that was really it. You got your information then. And now, you certainly don't have to wait for those times. And, even the news, like I think, like the local news stations are, I think they start at like 4 o'clock now, some of them, and go until 6. And,
Yeah.
their morning news shows are 2, 3, 4 hours long sometimes. So it's, people want the information. So, it's just more readily available now than it ever has been.
Yeah. So I have a fun fact for you. Did
Yeah.
you know that the Park and Rec meetings are now going to be televised?
I did know that, I think.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So you knew my fun fact. Well, they are going to be televised if you like to tune into those, besides the Board of Selectmen meeting. And so LCTV does over 10 different board meetings. So you, the viewer, can see everything under the sun. So you don't get to miss a beat. So with Facebook and Twitter, I looked up the followings on it, and they're not doing great. Twitter has 104 followers, and Facebook has 627 followers. And it's the town government, so you'd think there'd be more people following because you live in Littleton. So how would we increase engagement with the town medias to avoid disconnect?
Yeah, I follow the town on Twitter, and I don't know if there's that much value to it, to be honest.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of posts, and it's they're obviously short. So perhaps there's links that they can then send you to the actual town website.
Yeah.
And Facebook, it's with the way it works, and people commenting, and I don't know that a municipal Facebook page is really engaging. Like they're throwing things up, but really they're putting up exactly what's on their website.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're going to engage the resident. I don't think they have time, especially a small town like us. I don't know who controls our town Facebook page, but
Yeah.
I would venture to guess they don't have a lot of time to interact with the residents and who ask questions on there and things like that. So, I don't know if Facebook is really a, very, like our page, people like to have conversations and interact with each other. I just don't think that's how the town Facebook page would work.
It's not a forum per se,
Right.
where your page is, you post some new stuff and then people comment and there's a dialogue going on, whereas I feel the town is more formal and here's what you need to know, link to the website.
Yeah, and
so.
the town employees, I don't know how many towns have their employees commenting on, their town Facebook pages. That gets pretty tricky sometimes.
Yeah.
And, you say one thing that you shouldn't have said, even if you have good intentions, people interpret them the wrong way. Sometimes, that's one thing with, Facebook and interacting with people, especially the people you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they inject tone into your comment when there's, you meant it in the nicest way possible, or it was just a matter of fact. And if
Yeah.
they inject tone into it, the tone that they perceive you're writing there angry, and in reality you're happy about, it's like, I'm just going to throw this out there, and next thing you know, it's being interpreted with a tone that you had no intention of putting out there. And so I think there's a little bit of a danger in that way for town employees. And I know some of the selectmen, I don't know, Cindy Napoli is probably the most engaged on Facebook.
Yeah.
And she does a very good job at it. But I know, in talking to some of the other selectmen, it's not a enjoyable activity for them, because it's, if you answer 3 questions and you don't answer 4, 5, and 6, then you're avoiding those questions.
Yeah.
It's perceived you're just ignoring whoever asked the question, when reality is you don't have that much time. And they spend a lot of time, dealing with our town, and so it's tricky to be able to manage, yourself as a town official, and if you want to have that Facebook presence or any social media presence, it's tricky.
Yeah.
It's tricky.
Yeah. So, and I mean, with Twitter too, it's like you'll see more of on the national presence are our leaders, our representatives, and they'll tweet one thing, whether it's an opinion or a news article they saw, and there's a bunch of comments and whatnot, and it's there. Where, I mean, Littleton's just, I don't want to say it's small, but it's small.
Yeah, it is.
And I don't know, I feel just either Twitter or Facebook, that's not the platform for Littleton. I mean, it's great for informing or just having a dialogue, but just getting stuff out there, it's not the best. So what is there, besides Twitter and Facebook, do you see any other platform that'd be helpful to educate people and inform people?
I don't know. I mean, other than, the town website, but,
Yeah.
And then you go back to the old-fashioned, mail forms in your water bill. I know that's a big, we were when we were having discussions around Long Lake, and figuring out, fees and things like that. One of the suggestions during one of our meetings was to send out a flyer for a public meeting in the water bill. You can, so we're entertaining doing that, but that costs money. If everybody does that, it's it gets to be costly. So there's, I think the only other possibilities besides Facebook and Twitter and the town website would be going kind of back in time, and you could, I know the schools do robocalls, and the police do at times as well, but I don't know if people want calls, hey, there's a Board of Selectmen meeting tonight, and this is the agenda. I can't imagine people want that. I think, in the end, the information's there if people want to do a little bit of work. It's not as hard as it used to be. It's a lot easier, but unless you have the motivation to acquire the information necessary to participate in town government, then you can't be forced on you.
Yeah. I definitely agree with you that it's just, you're either interested or you're not. There's no in between where you're like, oh, I'm interested on this, or maybe not on that. So it's just a mixture. And I mean, with the town warrants, especially with town meeting, that's something that they send out. They also post it on littletonma.org, which I'm going to go to right now, where you can find all the town warrants and whatnot. And I clicked on it. Oh no. Right there, and you can find all these lovely goodies to educate yourself on.
Yep.
So, I mean, you can't get the best of both worlds when it comes to communication.
So if you go back to the homepage,
Yeah.
and you can just scroll down to the calendar. We can show people that. I'm sure everybody knows, but we have the community events calendar, the public meeting calendar. Every number that's outlined has a meeting there. All the upcoming meetings. So big planning board meeting tomorrow. They're going to talk about the new coding for the common. Forget what it's. What exactly the terminology. I just posted about it too, so I should know.
Hold on, let me go to the page and see.
Form-based coding, is that it?
There
it is. So that's a pretty, this is a big deal for our town, revitalizing the common. It's in the master plan. It's a big step for us, and this is a huge issue. And so I'll be curious to see how many people show up, maybe 5 people, and maybe 20, but talk to people about it. So this is like the type of thing that people should be talking about. It's our common. It's how we're going to try to revitalize our tax base.
Yeah.
We're gonna hopefully. I'm of the opinion that a sewer system would really benefit the town, and would certainly benefit the common. I know that people have other opinions on that, and that's fine. But this is a big meeting.
Yeah.
And so, it's one of those, so I won't be able to go to the meeting. I know
No.
that. But, it's certainly one that I'll be waiting to come on demand on LCTV. And,
Yeah.
it'll be one of the meetings I listen to while I populate my spreadsheets.
I was about to say, thank you for giving us a plug, because you can watch this meeting on LCTV. And I think with this and also the MBTA station that the town has been talking about, we don't really know about this either. And
Yeah.
I don't want another marijuana dispensary miscommunication. I don't want to call it a debacle, but it kind of was, to happen again. So I feel that communication is going to be important with the Common and the MBTA station going forward. So
Yep.
hopefully your page can update us.
It certainly will.
Yeah, so I mean, if anybody would like to get in their last little call, we got 4 minutes left. The number is 978-540-2487. Get your last little word in. Do you have any closing remarks on communication, or?
I would just say, if people truly want to get involved, you have to get out there. You got to, visit our page, visit all the other pages that are out there. I would encourage people to, feel free to post on our page. If you want to interact on the page, I would encourage you to do so. Be diplomatic. We're all neighbors. I think if we have a more, if we take that attitude and, just, very, again, we're just diplomatic and kind and, realize we're all neighbors. I think that, we could have a robust conversation, have differences of opinion, disagree, have a debate even, and at the end of the day, not take it personally, go our separate ways, agree to disagree, and, I think the town would be better off for it. They can, a lot of times what I see is, people will come a week later and will like comments that were, are a week old, but they're reading the conversation that 2, 3, or 4 or 5 people had about a topic, and so your comments are valuable. It shouldn't be just 5, 6, 7 people that are doing the majority of the commenting. It would be our page. I know would benefit greatly from more engagement, and I invite the town to really become a part of our page and in our community there.
Well, I thank you so much for coming on the show.
It was my pleasure.
It was a pleasure having you, and it was a good dialogue. So thank you so much for watching Littleton Live. I want to thank our callers for being a part of the discussion tonight. Next week, July 31st, we will be discussing developments at the Littleton MBTA station and at the Common, so I'm thankful you brought that up. Think about that and join us next week and give us your opinions on Littleton Live. I'm Nicole Biagioni, wishing you a good evening, Littleton.